The first sound she ever made wasn't a cry, or a laugh, or even a word. It was a shaky breath that silenced an entire ballroom and changed 2 lives forever. Before this story touches your heart, take 1 second to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us that miracles don't always come from wealth or power, sometimes they come from the most unexpected people. Everyone in the city knew the Whitmore family. Billionaires. Philanthropists. Their mansion sat on the hill like a castle, guarded by iron gates and trimmed hedges. But inside that beautiful house lived a silence heavier than any luxury. Isabella Whitmore, their only daughter, had never spoken a single word since the day she was born. Doctors said her vocal cords were fine. Her hearing was perfect. Yet year after year, she remained silent. No sound. No whisper. Just her large, observant eyes that seemed to understand everything and say nothing. Her parents spared no expense. World-famous specialists, private therapists, experimental programs in Europe and Asia. Nothing worked. Eventually, hope turned into quiet resignation. Isabella learned sign language, communicated through writing and expressions, but the silence stayed. And with it, a loneliness money couldn't fix. At 16, surrounded by tutors, guards, and luxury, she felt more isolated than most people ever would. Across town, in a cramped apartment above a closed-down bakery, lived Daniel Reyes. A single father, garbage man, and widower. His wife had died years earlier, leaving him to raise his 8-year-old son, Mateo, on a salary that barely covered rent and groceries. Every morning before sunrise, Daniel pulled on his reflective vest, kissed Mateo on the forehead while he slept, and went to work collecting other people's trash. Life was hard, but Daniel carried something wealth couldn't buy: kindness that never ran out. One rainy afternoon, Daniel's garbage route took him near the Whitmore estate. As he lifted heavy bags into the truck, he noticed a girl sitting by the gate, sketchbook in her lap, rain soaking her expensive coat. Guards stood a distance away, distracted by their phones. Daniel frowned, wiped his hands, and approached carefully. "Hey," he said gently. "You shouldn't sit in the rain like that." The girl looked up. "Big eyes. Come." She pointed to her throat, then shook her head slightly. Daniel understood. He smiled, not awkward or pitying, just warm. "That's okay," he said. "You don't need words to talk." He pulled a small harmonica from his pocket. It was old, scratched, something his wife had given him years ago. He played it on breaks sometimes, simple tunes to clear his mind. Without asking permission, he raised it to his lips and played a soft, slow melody. Isabella froze. No one had ever played music just for her like that. Not to test her. Not to fix her. Just to share something human. Her fingers tightened around her sketchbook. Daniel finished the tune and shrugged. "I play for my son. He says it makes the bad days quieter." Isabella hesitated, then turned her sketchbook around. She had drawn him. A rough sketch, but clear enough: him, the harmonica, the rain. Daniel laughed softly. "That's me? Wow. You're talented." From that day on, Isabella began sitting by the gate whenever she knew the garbage truck would pass. Daniel played music. Sometimes upbeat. Sometimes sad. Sometimes silly. He told her stories about Mateo, about missing his wife, about how silence after loss can be loud. Isabella listened. Always silent. Always present. Her parents noticed the change. She smiled more. Drew more. Asked, through writing, when the music man would come again. Curious and cautious, they had Daniel invited inside. When he walked into the mansion, wearing worn boots and a faded jacket, he felt completely out of place. But Isabella ran to him. For weeks, Daniel visited after work. No pressure. No therapy charts. Just music, conversation, and shared silence. One evening, during a storm, the power went out. The house fell into darkness. Isabella, startled, grabbed Daniel's hand. He felt her fingers tremble. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe." He played the harmonica softly in the dark. And then it happened. A sound. Barely louder than the rain. Duh. Daniel stopped breathing. Isabella's eyes filled with tears. Her lips shook. "Dad." The lights came back onto screams, sobs, disbelief. Doctors would later say it wasn't magic. It was trust. Comfort. Emotional safety. Something years of money never provided. Daniel refused rewards. He kept his job. But the Whitmores funded a foundation in his wife's name to support single parents and children with speech trauma. Isabella still doesn't talk much. But when she does, her first word is always the same. Dad. If this story touched you, like the video and subscribe. Because sometimes the voice we're waiting for isn't found in wealth, it's found in kindness. She had never spoken a word in 17 years, and the room full of millionaires was convinced she never would. But no one expected that the man who changed everything would arrive in an orange garbage truck, smelling of rain and yesterday's waste. Before this story reaches its most unbelievable moment, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this don't just entertain, they restore faith in humanity. Sophia Lancaster was born into a life most people could only dream of. Her father owned half the city's skyline. Her mother's charity galas raised millions in a single night. Yet from the moment Sophia entered the world, something was missing. She didn't cry. She didn't babble. As months turned into years, doctors confirmed what her parents feared: Sophia was completely mute. No physical damage. No hearing loss. Just silence. Money opened every door except the one they needed. Private hospitals. Elite speech therapists. Neurologists flown in from overseas. Nothing worked. By the time Sophia turned 10, her parents stopped asking when and started asking if. At school, she was isolated. Kids whispered. Teachers spoke slowly to her as if silence meant ignorance. Sophia learned to smile politely while feeling invisible. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, life was anything but polished. Mark Ellis woke up every morning at 4 a.m. to prepare for his garbage route. He was a single dad raising his 5-year-old daughter Lily after his wife passed away suddenly. Mark's hands were rough, his back always aching, but his heart was soft. He sang off-key while cooking dinner and told Lily bedtime stories even when he was exhausted. One autumn morning, Mark's route changed. His truck now passed through Lancaster Heights, the wealthiest neighborhood in the city. One house stood out, not because it was bigger, but because of the girl who sat on the front steps every morning, hugging her knees, watching the world go by. Sophia. She noticed Mark before he noticed her. The way he waved to every dog. The way he laughed with his co-worker. The way he hummed softly while lifting bins. One day, without thinking, Mark waved at her. She waved back. The next day, Mark brought Lily along because her school was closed. Lily saw Sophia immediately. "Daddy," she said, "why does that girl look sad?" Mark didn't have an answer. Lily skipped toward the gate and held up her toy dinosaur. "Hi. I'm Lily." Sophia stared, surprised. Then slowly, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small notebook. She wrote 2 words and held it up. "Hello. I'm Sophia." Lily beamed. "You write. That's cool." From that day on, mornings changed. Lily talked. Mark listened. Sophia wrote. Sometimes she laughed silently, her shoulders shaking. Mark never asked why she didn't speak. He treated her like a person, not a problem. One cold morning, Sophia handed Mark a note. "Why don't you sing anymore?" Mark chuckled. "I don't sing in front of strangers." Sophia raised an eyebrow and wrote again. "You don't feel like a stranger." Something cracked inside him. The next morning, Mark sang. Quietly at first. An old lullaby his wife used to sing to Lily. Sophia froze. Her eyes filled. Her hands trembled. Days passed. Then weeks. Sophia's parents noticed the change. She woke up early. She smiled more. She asked, on paper, about the garbage truck. Curious and uneasy, they watched from a distance. Then came the charity gala. The most important night of the year. Investors, politicians, press. Sophia was supposed to appear briefly, smile, and leave. As she stood on stage beside her parents, the familiar silence pressed down on her chest. Then she saw him. Outside, through the glass doors, Mark was loading trash from the event. Orange vest. Tired eyes. Same gentle smile. Sophia's heart raced. She stepped forward. The microphone trembled in her hands. Everyone leaned in. Nothing happened. Her mother reached for her. Sophia closed her eyes and remembered mornings, laughter, singing without judgment. She inhaled deeply. And then. Mark. The room collapsed into chaos. Cameras flashed. Her father dropped his glass. Her mother sobbed openly. Mark stood frozen, tears streaming down his face. Sophia turned toward him, voice shaking but real. Thank you for seeing me. Doctors later explained that her voice had always been there. What she lacked wasn't ability, it was safety. Trust. Someone who never tried to fix her. Mark never quit his job. But the Lancasters changed theirs. They built programs for children who feel invisible. They paid Mark's debts without making him feel small. And every morning, before school, Lily and Sophia sit together, laughing, sometimes silently, sometimes out loud. Because the most powerful voice in the world isn't found through money. It's found through kindness. If this story moved you even a little, like the video and subscribe, because the next one might move someone who really needs it. Red Heart.